speaker for the session.
Amazing.
Massive responsibility to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and give you a perfect action plan to go back and implement. I'm big on implementation. Without action, advice means nothing. And how many of you here have left your family, loved ones, kids at home and invested more than 3 days to be here to learn and implement? Yes, thank you so much. So I do not take this lightly. You've given me 60 minutes of your time, and I want to make sure it's worth it. All right, so let's go. I used to be this person, I call this term peacocking, like it's all about me. I'm great, I'm nice, I'm good. But being great does not help you. So it's all about you. For the next 60 minutes, my promise to you is an action plan that you can walk away with after we finish the session. So we're going to be doing a lot of notes. I used to be a university lecturer in my past life, and I'm an Indian mom, and I whack my kids on the bum to get stuff done. So I'm not going to whack you on the backside. However, I'm going to give you an action blueprint for you to take home. So when Wesley and I were discussing what can I talk about, one thing that I did really, really well, and I think most people, when they start their journey, they struggle with getting their first 10 or 20 clients. Why is that first 10 or 20 clients very, very important? Because that anchors the evidence that your offer is working. That anchors that evidence you can make someone swipe their card. And you get a repeatable system. From 10, you can grow to 20, you can double it to 40 in no time. So I thought that was pretty basic, but it's always there's power in the basics. And 5 of you have come and spoken to me and said, it's because of the topic for you and Ryan, we actually signed up for this conference because it spoke to us. We needed the basic foundation. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to have an unmasked session, okay? As much as we love social media, we marketers, because of a lot of bad experiences, we've got a lot of bullshit going on, right? So the next 60 minutes is just you and me. It's going to be very personal, unmasked. We're going to audit your business, just you. So be truthful to yourself. You don't have to put your hand up. You don't have to respond to my questions, but you're going to be very, very honest with yourself. And we're going to do a workshop together for the next 60 minutes. Can you promise me that? Thank you. So we're going to be very authentic. This is how you get me on the stage. This is how you get me off stage. So too authentic and honest for a South Indian woman. Okay. So this is a disclaimer. I do not have a rags to riches story. In fact, I had a very, very high paying job when I was crazy and I quit my job. My last job was with the University of Queensland, a massive 6-figure job as a migrant 6 years into Australia when my business was making 18,000 in a year. Okay, so I'm that weirdo. All right, and I don't have the story where I'm a college dropout or a school dropout. In fact, highest in academia. I love to show off a little tiny bit. So I show off that I've got a doctorate. I've got a DR, Dr. Priya. That's because, like most Indians, okay, I lived to live the unfulfilled desires of my parents. Okay, that's right. I was baptized as Dr. Priya when I was born. And I think I hated it. So I did not get the marks that was good enough for an MBBS. I got dental, but I was like, I'm not going to put my hand in people's mouth. No. What an idiot. After moving to Australia, I'm like, dentist? Oh, shit. What a wasted opportunity. But I spent 5 years of my prime time to get my PhD in bioinformatics, which is biotechnology done on computers. So somewhat techie, nerdy. My master's PhD, master's was in Python programming. So I was that person. So I don't have that college dropout story from PhD to a high-level certified admin, which is very rare, I guess, right? So who is this session for? Basically to everyone in the room. You could be the one who is kickstarting your journey. You haven't started your free trial. You are on a free trial. You haven't signed few clients, or even 6 or 7-figure entrepreneurs with the shiny object syndrome. We try to come up with new ideas, new offers, and we always have to go back to the basics and anchor it. All right. So basically, everyone in the room, there'll be something that you can walk away today. So my growth framework, if I had to just anchor on one slide, this is it. All of us start business. When people said, you have to find your why, I felt that was too cliche. What do you mean why? I need money, right? So Like, no brainer. What do you mean? So you start focusing on the money, and then there's always that disappointment or the constant chase that you have. So right from early on, I kind of channeled all my activities into three separate buckets because my expectations were very clear. Okay, when I speak to somebody, if that's a businessy relationship where I'm expecting to close them as a deal, they fall under my income bucket. But most of the activities that I do on a daily basis falls under my impact and influence bucket. But eventually, the impact and influence will come back into the revenue stream by some sort. So always, every successful entrepreneur, and you see people saying this all the time, right? Oh, I'm not happy. I've made a successful business, but I have no purpose, because they haven't channeled their activity in these different buckets, which gives you ultimate fulfillment. So I work a lot in the migrant space. And most of my talk for the next hour is going to be focusing from a migrant's perspective. I'm not sure how many of you understand, if you're born and grown up in a Western world, there are a lot of things that you take for granted, right? So when you're a migrant, you come to a new country, you look at things from a different perspective that a lot of people take for granted, and you learn to appreciate things. So there's going to be a lot of masala in my talk as an Indian. Okay. So there are three promises, or probably three things that we're going to do today. So the first one is the Power Pivot framework that I basically coined. Like I said, I'm a teacher by trade. I love acronyms. I love simplifying stuff. So back in the days when I was in the business mentoring space, very much heavily dependent on marketing and sales, I found a framework to audit the gap analysis. When a client comes to you, they're not going to start from zero. Like, there's very, very minimum chance they come with nothing, right? They've done something, they're doing something right, they're doing a lot of things wrong, but it's important for us to understand what worked well, what did not work, and how you can help. So that's my framework that we're going to discuss in greater detail. I had 10 commandments and then I had to change it. So now I've cut it short to 5 mistakes that most people do from my experience, my personal mistakes, and the clients that I see every day. And like I said, it's not about me, it's about you. So we're going to do a roadmap together, how you can actually capture, convert, and sell using the framework. All right. Okay, a little bit about my story, okay? Very, very little. I'm not going to peacock, right? So this is typically every Indian kid. Our love language is food, okay? So you get healthy, chubby kids, but the problem is you grow up thinking life does not have options. You only have 2 options. You're either a doctor or an engineer, right? So that was me when I was baptized. And then you grow up assuming that life doesn't have options. So at 25, I met a man, I married, I'm still with him. So life does not have options, right? So my very first job was a university lecturer. So when I did my master's, I got my very first job, and I stayed there. That's the only job I did for 9 years, which is university lecturer. And then this is in 2016. That's me and my loving husband. I mean, I can't do stuff what I do without his support. He's very, very supportive. So we had our midlife crisis. He met with an industrial accident. There is a 350 kilogram weight that came off the crane when he was inspecting in a mechanical engineering inspection. And he was basically bedridden for 8 months. Okay. So I was pregnant with my second kid, and basically my university was laying off people. So we had to move somewhere. So the option was Canada or Australia. Australia had a very, very good migration clear pathway. So this is us, literally the $45 with which we came. Obviously, we had a traveler's check, but this is the reason why we made the move, because we were forced to. All right. So my very first job. How many of you have been to Darwin? Amazing, a lot of people. Okay, Northern Territory sponsored my visa. So that's the very first Australia I saw, right? And on my 5th day in Australia, I got my first full-time permanent job with Bet365. How many of you bet here? No judgments. You don't have to lift your hand up. But I got integrated into the Australian culture really well. You know what I'm talking about? Dealing with punters in Darwin, most people with singlets and thongs, sticky floors in the nightclubs, okay? That's typically Darwin in a nutshell. Every sentence would start with an F or a B or a C, okay? And for someone from India, not used to this, It was a great experience, right? And then I moved into the academic sector, working with the University of Queensland, University of Adelaide. So one thing working in Australia made me realize is time equals money. Because in India, we used to get paid per month. Irrespective of the job, anything, you get paid a fixed salary. So when people told me like 1 hour of my time was worth $25, $30, I was like, wow, this is great. So what do you do as a migrant? You tend to convert it into Indian rupees times 55, right? So that's in your head. You're like, oh shit, that's a lot of money. So I tried to maximize it by working like hell. I was working basically 20 hours. And my first brand that I started was Side Hustle with 9 to 5. So I was basically side hustling in the same academia space because that's what I was qualified to do. And that's what I assumed people would pay me for. So everything that I did was in the assignment help, tutoring, research paper analysis. I was working online and offline. So what happened in 2019 is when I found the One Funnel Away Challenge, the 30-day challenge. Like many alumni here, I am an alumni. Okay, so the 30-day challenge, the best $100 investment because it made me realize one thing, that I can sell anything. Okay, I can sell anything. That's one takeaway. So any investment you make, it need not lead to a dollar value return on investment. But if it can give you one breakthrough, like literally I'm here today because of that realization, right? So you have to understand every investment can lead to one breakthrough change or shift in your mindset that can be a game changer. So for me, it was understanding that I can basically sell anything. So that's how it started. So that was me, my eyes, after 30 hours of nonstop working. I didn't know that'll be my daily routine moving forward, but that's how it all started. So when I was deep in that space, in the funnel building space, I understood I'm not a builder. Like yesterday, most of us, we are all visionaries, right? I didn't like doing the nitty gritty stuff, but I loved the whole strategy of it. And I completely believed in marketing and sales. If a business does not have marketing and sales, it is blank. Fill in the blank. 2 words. I mean, before that, an expensive hobby, right? So that's what I believed in. If a business does not have the right marketing and sales, it's an expensive hobby. I had one when I was side hustling. So I kind of niched down into that space. So 2021, please do not quit your job during Christmas. I did that like an idiot, right? I didn't understand Australia shuts down during Christmas because I used to get paid all along. But when I had that break, when Australia shut down, I needed work to keep me sane. I was thinking, what's the biggest gap with the clients that I was working with is implementation, right? So everybody, we're filled with a world where there's lots of advice. So I used to be in the business mentoring space. Every week when clients come to me, I used to give them a perfect roadmap. Do this, do this, do this. What happens? Next week, they come back and say, sorry, Priya, I did not have the time, right? So as an Indian mom, I couldn't do it legally. So how can I make them do the stuff legally and ethically if I believed in implementation? So always. So at that time, my friends who had equal qualification like me with a doctorate were going through tough times in their marriage. Culturally in India, a lot of women give up their career after marriage and children. And what happens? They go through toxic marriages because they're not financially independent. So it came at the perfect time, and I wanted to do something to my women back home. So I just put up a story on Instagram. If you're a woman from India, I'm going to train you. I did not know this whole term called virtual assistant. I just was like, I'm just going to use them to do all the implementation because I'm lazy. I don't like doing the job. All right. So I had 5 people sign up, and then I started training them, and I paired them with my clients. So from February 2022, when the market opens for business after Christmas, after a 2-month break, I paired them with my existing clients, and then my graph started to shoot. I could see real potential and growth. So now we are a team of 42 women in India who help me with implementation. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that is the biggest impact, other than I intentionally have created the slides, not to talk about the numbers, because for me, impact is the biggest thing. When I see all these 42 women who were going through identity crisis now having an identity for themselves and having a financial freedom is massive. They were able to walk out of marriages that they didn't want to be stuck to, and they were able to empower themselves with that financial independence. So that to me is massive. This is last year when, 1/4 of my team flew from different parts of India to meet me in person. We had a weekend together. So this is great. So obviously the person who keeps me sane is my team. In terms of the CRM implementation, I've got a team in Pakistan does that implementation for me. So we've got two different teams, and no amount of CRM can make them speak to each other. They all want to speak to me. Okay. All right. So we're even in this space for social media. So this is literally my struggle. I was in that social media marketing space, helping people build digital products. So I call myself the digital product strategist. So heavily using different parts of social media. So what is the challenge that I personally faced was using 10 different tools that were not speaking to each other. That was literally my problem, right? I had a team that had to liaise with my clients to get approval for social media content, that needed a system to get approval. So there was a lot of struggle that we faced because of distorted systems. So that was me. So fast forward to 2024, last year. Okay, so probably I'm one of the youngest users of High Level. So April 26, 2024 is when I started my free trial. I was here in Sydney for the Australian Business Champion Awards dinner night. And this is my lovely friend, Hati, who introduced me to High Level. I was like, well, she moved from Queensland and she was literally like dead. I was like, what are you doing? I don't see what you're doing. And then she showed me the platform. And for me, that was the missing piece of my puzzle, right? When I saw the platform, I'm like, this is it. This is the missing piece of my puzzle. That night, I signed up using her affiliate. And since then, it's been such a game changer because I was the perfect client, which High Level, the problem the High Level solved for me and my clients. So when I was in free trial, 14-day free trial, I moved 5 of my clients. So I started getting paid even before my subscription, the paid subscription started. So that was my introduction. Okay, I wanted an Indian BGM to this when I introduced High Level, but I forgot that. All right, anyway, that's fine. Okay, so let's go into the first module, which is the Power Pivot, the gap analysis framework that we're going to work together. All right, so every client, when they come, how many of you have seen they come and say, just build me a funnel? That's it. I just want a funnel built. They don't think about how are they going to drive traffic to the funnel? How are they going to sell? What are the different steps, right? So clearly understanding, I think this is my strength and I want to stay with that strength, right? Identifying their problem, where they are at, what's their point A, what's their point B, what's the quickest, easiest, and smartest way to get them to point A to point B? For some people, it's like that messy. For some people, it's an easy straight line. All right. So, and we always make sure to mention this. You can only choose 2 out of 3. You can't get all the 3. Okay. So if it's good and fast, it's not going to be cheap. If it's going to be cheap and fast, it's not going to be that good, right? So we always set the expectation right because I've been burnt really, really hard not setting the right expectation. All right. So this is my Power Pivot framework. All right. So we're going to audit each of this. I want all of you to write down POWER, and we're going to identify the gaps in your current business. So P is product and pricing. O is your online and offline presence. W is your warm lead generation. And E is evaluating the sales process. And R is recurring or retainer revenue. So based on my experience and clients that I've worked with, there's going to be gaps in 1 or more of these for every business, period. There's nowhere else. If you're doing a gap analysis, I pretty much think I've covered it all. If I've missed something, please let me know. Okay, so this is my Power Pivot framework that we use to do a gap analysis. So I used to do a free audit initially, but now we specifically work with high-level agencies. So we do this gap analysis as a paid offer. So that's kind of the first offer. We do a gap analysis. They understand and appreciate what's already been done, because they would have paid thousands of dollars to some other agency to build something. So it's not all wrong, but we can identify gaps and plug those gaps to make sure whatever money they spent earlier is going to be worth it. Because you're not going to be like, I'm going to bulldoze everything and start fresh, right? So this audit or the gap analysis has been a game changer for me and my clients. All right. So products. So in terms of offers, different speakers have given different perspective. Okay, they're all gold. So I want to keep it simple. High level has like what, 140 features, what people said. So I personally feel it's not easy, or it's going to be challenging to sell the whole suite of the CRM. All right. So when they come and talk to us, it's always good to identify what's the low hanging fruit, what's the pain point, what's the foot in the door kind of an offer. And trust me, they'll upsell themselves once they understand the power of the platform. So I kind of like to break down my offers into three. What's the foot in the door offer that'll get me into that client's, basically account and make them sign up as a paying client? And then what is the upsell? So this will be in my head like a mind map. Okay, this is where they're going to come in. These are the possible upsells that they're going to upsell. And then this is going to be for one thing that they retain. So the retainer is basically because I've got a done for you offer. I've got a team that does the entire holistic approach. So we have teams that specialize in different aspects, starting with graphic design to funnel designers to video editing. So we've got the whole suite of people that specialize in various things. So once they come, the stickiness is more because it's completely done for you. I've had one churn in the past 13 months, probably two, because one, I terminated the contract because of mismatched expectation, and I lost one client because they were not using the retainer and they went shenanigans, and they didn't stay. So I think that's a pretty decent number. So yeah, so that's only because of a done for you offer. It's very, very hard. We live in such a lazy generation, right? And also people want instant gratification, right? So these two things, lazy, instant gratification, is why a done for you model really, really works and helps keep them together, and the stickiness is really, really more. So in terms of products, I want you to make notes and identify what's going to be your gap. So where is your gap? Because people like, I think it's a very 2000 idea to have gold, silver, platinum, whatever, 3 tiers of offers, 3 tiers of pricing. But I think when you have your offer mapped out in your head, you can call it whatever you want. You can price it whatever you want. But as understanding that this is going to be my foot in the door offer, this is going to be my upsell, this is going to be my retainer, will help you to draft your proposal. Okay, this is going to be phase one, and this will be these deliverables. So you can give them a roadmap. They might not have like 20 grand, 30 grand to spend up front. Okay, let's start with 5 grand. Let's do this. Let's fix this gap. Let's get you some results. And then let's move on to phase two. So giving them a clear roadmap gives them a clear expectation on what to expect, and also a longer working relationship with you as an agency owner. All right. So how many of you have had this, basically people say, oh, you're expensive, I can't afford you, right? Yes, most people, because you know your worth, but they perceived your worth, right? So I think this is one common thing, what people think. But in terms, if I have to go a little woohoo, I would say you have to feel energetically aligned to say that number to that client with confidence. Yeah. So if I struggle in 2019, I remember to say $1,000, I would be like, oh my God, $1,000. That was big. I did not believe that people would pay thousands of dollars. So when you say the energy and the confidence with what you say, really, really, people can smell it. People can feel it. So instead of ROI, I'm an Indian, okay? So I really, really track a metric called ROTI, return on time investment. Okay, roti, right? So I told you, you're going to get a lot of masala from me. So most people just talk about ROI in terms of metric, right? So every speaker here has restated this one fact: time is money, time is important. So when you track that metrics, when you ask the questions that Billie Jean told you, when you ask the questions that Johan said this morning, you have to really say, how much time is it going to save you, right? I always talk about return on time investment. So instead of ROI, please think in terms of return on time investment when you're pricing your services. I'm not going to say how much you want to charge, but always have that time in mind. Even the richest person on earth, what he cannot buy. That's it. So that's the most expensive commodity, right? So time is the only thing that matters. Like for me, that's the only thing. Time equals money, and time is very expensive. So I'm very mindful with who and what I do with my time. All right. So always I have this concept called value before dollars, right? Even before I send a proposal, when I used to do the free audits, that's a valuable document that they can go and get stuff done. So value before dollars has been like my tagline right from before. The more value you provide, like everyone has said this, people are lazy. They don't do stuff. Okay, so don't hold back in giving value, because the more value you give, trust me, they might not come back to you today, but they'll come back very, very soon. Okay, so this is another process that we have internally. So we love surprising our clients. Like I said, I do the project scope. I have to find a mini me. So when I scope out the project, we break them into phases. We break them into deliverables, because for me, it's what they get for the money they pay. It's not wishy-washy. There is tangible deliverables in phase one. After we deliver those phase one, then you release the payment for phase two, and these are the deliverables for phase two. So in my mind, as I speak to them on the sales call, I know there are some things that I can add as a value, as a surprise, okay? I'll give you one or two that has helped me. How many of you are part of networking groups, Chamber of Commerce, and other things? Okay, so the best thing to do is show them a demo. So I've got a simple, I'm part of BNI Australia, right? So I've got a simple automation for BNI. So when I'm talking to them, how do I sell them without selling them? Is take out my phone, scan their business card, it extracts their name, email, phone number, add a tag called BNI Network. Immediately, what does it say? Hey, Daniel, it was lovely to meet you at BNI this morning. And this is a little bit about what I do. And, if you would love to have a one-to-one, schedule a booking call with me. So what happens? How many of us have business cards in our handbags that never gets to our CRM, right? So in 60 seconds or less, you've got their contact added to the CRM, and they have your information in their inbox. This one simple demo has got me so many clients just out of BNI. Hey, Priya, this is cool. Can you give that? So it's very simple. It's very targeted towards a person you're talking about. So you can have multiple simple automations like this to really show to people. Obviously, these are not the high level list. This is for the other businesses. So this will be a massive foot in the door kind of an offer. Can you do this, right? The same thing for conference sponsors. You can show how you can automate the conference lead capture sequence. Literally, I did it for a BNI conference last week, 2 days ago in Brisbane, and we had so many sponsors use our lead capture and nurture sequence, right? That's the foot in the door offer. Now, when I go back, I'll upsell them to multiple other things, right? So you think about these surprises in your head and then write it. So that's an internal process right now. So we sit and brainstorm, okay, what can be the bonus that we can provide for their business that's not part of the scope what they wanted, but it will value add to them, all right? So a digital virtual card for them. So lots of little things that we value add is massive. So always think about how you can value add than the projected scope of the project. That will be a great value add for everybody. Okay, so that's about product and pricing, okay? So quickly, 10 seconds, you can scratch some notes of what's missing in your business currently. Is it the 3 different types of offers, whether you have the right foot in the door offer, right upsells in your head, it need not be a fancy landing page or a sales funnel, and do you have something to retain them for a longer period of time? And in terms of pricing, doesn't matter what they perceive as your worth, but what is your time worth? What is your ROTI in every offer you throw? Okay, so that's the first element of the power pivot. The second one, online and offline presence. So a lot of you, we project ourselves as something, but does your online presence, does your social media reflect who you are, right? What you speak to them, what you introduce yourself as, does your social media reflect that? A lot of time, most people don't. They don't either have an active social media presence or it does not reflect who they are. So your online and offline presence, what you talk about each and every offer that you sell has to be relevant to that. So we make sure it's coherent to their online presence, When you're going and having a pull-up banner, that also matches your message, that also matches, that has a strategy to capture, convert, and close. So we work from a holistic approach in making sure the client has that online and offline presence. This is probably the piece where most businesses have the gap, okay? So not having the right relevant message throughout their online and offline presence. In terms of lead generation, so this is, a lot of people have spoken about the lead capture, nurture. So I think one thing that we're going to do together is find out how you can bring it as a process. So this morning, Troy spoke about 7-11-4. It's the same concept. Like I said, all speakers have said the same thing in their own style, in their own terminologies, in their own experience. But how do you actually capture that audience and how do you nurture them? For me, it's the nurture that has really, really helped. And I'm going to tell you how you can do that too using simple tools. All right. So sales process. Okay. So you'd be surprised how many people do not have a payment process to take payments. Like I saw a beautiful retreat in Bali. I loved it. I just wanted to pay, book it, and plan my travel. Guess what was there? I just had a Calendly booking link to book a call. I'm like, why would you want to speak to me? I just want to pay. I want to attend the retreat. So there was no option for me to pay. So identifying whether there is a psychological trigger to the sale, first of all, and then whether there's an actual process in making that sale. And it could be a downsell, upsell if you want to go all fancy and bougie with funnels. All right, so retargeting. So in terms of retargeting or retainers, like I said, the offer that it's very hard, like Johan mentioned, right? Every month, getting people to think that, oh shit, I've got this bill coming up. Unless you provide massive value, this is not going to work. So what do? Is we set up automations in different timelines for different clients to reach based on their offer, but it'll be very targeted towards what we do for them, but it's automated. So my team is not going to send each and every one an individual message. So we're going to lock them into different categories, and those categories get the 21st of every month, they'll get one email. So it'll be very targeted, asking them, okay, what's your focus for the next 4 months? This is what we have done. So there are notes that gets plugged in, and this is what we have done for you. This is our focus. Do you want to say if there's anything else you want to do? All right. And then when they respond, my team takes care from there, whoever is assigned project manager for that particular project. So what happens, there's multiple touch points every month to make sure they feel there's massive value for the amount they pay me, right? They pay our team. So in terms of retargeting or retainers, you have to have these processes in place that has multiple touch points. And when I know it's time for them to upsell to a different thing, I might have a virtual coffee with them. I might meet them in person, right? So there are different clients we deal differently, but the retargeting happens in terms of value again, in terms of asking them what's the next step they want to focus for the next 30 days. I don't do 5-year business plans. That's not me. I don't know if I'm alive tomorrow. That's kind of my target, right? So the next 30 days, what do you want to do? What can we deliver? So it's always focusing on deliverables. It's always focusing on results and telling them, hey, we've done this in the last 30 days. These are the amounts of leads you've got. This is the conversion you've got. This is the revenue you've received. Now for the next month, we've scoped out to focus on this one. Are we still with the same game plan? Do you have a different plan in place, right? So that's going to be an automated sequence. So that's how we tend to retain and avoid churn. All right. So most businesses that I see have these Band-Aid fixes. Like I said, when someone comes to you for a funnel design, you just don't design a funnel, right? You ask them the right questions, give them a holistic approach on how they're going to travel or have the traffic to the funnel, and then what's going to be the delivery and how they're going to value add. So we can actually take that workload from them. All right, I'm going to give you a community manager to manage your community. I'm going to give you a social media manager to do this for you. I'm going to give you a VA to take care of it. So we're not giving a Band-Aid fix. So we are a one-stop shop service that just does not do automations and workflows, but we're going to be managing your entire business for you. We can be your internal team member. So we deploy team members in their business to take care of them. And that's why the stickiness is really, really high, which is a unique model. I just do what I like. So this is what I like doing. So I just made it up. Okay. And the next thing, what people actually keep paying for is when you give them the vision that they can make money with high level. Okay. The reason I don't have my SaaSpreneur award yet is because when I think about the client from their perspective, they can be an agency or there might be an option for them to make a lot of money using high level. Okay, the most simplest example, I worked with an NDIS consultant. So she's a consultant who actually helps NDIS businesses, which is the disability sector, to get the registration, right? So she has 116 clients in her portal. So everybody who comes to her, they're going to need a website. They're going to need social media. They're going to need a basic business established in the online space, right? Other than the compliance element. So I told her, why don't you do this? Okay, so we will be your white label service provider. You can sell, you can be the front face of the business, you can bring them in and we will deliver. And that is one of the massive clients that we've got. So we've right now moved 56 clients from her portal to the high level agency. All right. So these are examples when you can think about how you can help the client make money and what's your role in it. And you can really tell them, you can mark it up, whatever you want. This is going to be the prices for us to actually being able to deliver. So when they can see that they can print money, they're not going to stop paying you. All right. So think about the clients in your head that you can actually do this model, because I know a few of them, the friends that I know in the high level world will not work with anybody if they don't come under the agency as a sub account. And they charge 10 grand to eject them to an agency. And I just feel that's unfair, right? You have to act in the client's best interest, but that's the model. I'm not here to judge. But for me, it's like, you've got your own agency, that's fine. We'll work with you. You've got a team, we'll train your team. We'll work with your team, right? So if it's the high level world, we work in that world. That's it. That's a simple expectation, because for me, it was, I have to make money because that's my evidence to my brain. As simple as that. So I had my target MRR, which we hit in March 2025 this year. So that was what I was chasing. Okay, probably next is when I try to niche down with the help of all the talks and things, and then go for the 100 sub accounts. But initially, all you need is evidence. And what is that evidence? When people will swipe their cards, right? So we still operate from a primal caveman's brain. All right. So when you spiral down self-doubt, now I can slap my brain and say, shut up, brain. Right. So initially it was hard to actually accept it's just my brain trying to keep me in that comfort safety net. All right. So it's up to you to actually slap your brain when you want and get out of that. All right. Okay. So when we talk about brain, obviously it's going to be new mindset or certain shifts in perspective that'll help you to get these results. So there are 3 things that help me do this really, really well. So sell first, create next. I used to do this even in my business mentoring days. So I would not recommend any of them to sit down and record an entire course and build a beautiful landing page and then crickets, right? Because there's no validation, because you believe that's what the market wants. All right, but no one has validated your proof of concept. So let's build a proof of concept. So the first client that I got in the high level world, I was still in my free trial. I went to a competitor's event. It was a 2-day event. That's the best place to sell, trust me, okay? You go to a place where people use ClickFunnels and you can sell high level like crazy, right? That's what I did in the online space too, okay? So this is last year when I was still in my free trial. And they were all building stuff using ClickFunnels and I didn't want to. So I was just sitting and teaching people, hey, I've done this. I've lived and breathed this thing for years. So I'm going to teach you. I'm going to just say I was just a teacher. Like everywhere I go, everything is a teachable moment for me, right? Like I just went there and started teaching. So there was this lady who has a business on the Gold Coast. And she was there with her son trying to build funnels and I was teaching her, right? So the person who was running the workshop, his upsell was $18,000 offer. Completely done for you, $18,000. But we were like 116 of us in the room. And she came to me and said, Priya, look, I know 18,000 is a ridiculous amount. Probably he can deliver. I don't care. But I know you're not using this tool. You're using something else. I told her, honestly, I'm not using this anymore. I believe in you. Whatever tool you use, can you build it for me? Okay. I was like, oh, maybe. Yeah, I can try. Because that's somebody I didn't even try to sell, but she came to me. And she asked me, what's your BSB and account number? On the table, like this. We were in a round table, right? She transferred $5,000. Very first, I was shocked. Like I struggled to sell $3,000 coaching because I didn't believe in it, right? And someone across the table transferred $5,000. And I was like, oh my God, is this for real? So that is the first thing. And I told her very honestly, like, I'm going to learn. I don't know. I'm just trying to do. But she was like, you did the whole strategy, you did the whole funnel, you're just going to do it in a different tool. That's it. So I believe in you. Whatever you did on the paper, you're just going to do it in a different tool. And that's worth so much more. But I know you're learning. So she used it to her advantage. But that was my first client. She's still with me. She's franchising on Early Beach and somewhere in the North Queensland now. And she spent more than $38,000 in the last 4 months. Okay, so that's the kind of upsell. Thank you. So always have that proof of concept, sell, because without sales, there's no evidence that it's working for you. So sell first before you spend all your time and efforts and energy into creating it. All right. So that's basically the market validation. All right. So most of us have this sense of entitlement. I've got high level. Why aren't people buying it? Are they idiots? Are they stupid? Right? So it's always understanding that the strategy is higher than the software itself. All of us have access to this platform. Are we killing each other for clients? Are we going to compete against each other? No, I don't think there's anyone who can compete against anyone because you are unique. You're not me. And that's what makes it unique, right? So I want you to write the word USP. What is your unique selling proposition? Every business in a room like this, where all of us have access to that one software, common software, that we can white label it, we can call it anything we want. But if you position it differently, if you offer something that's higher than what the software can naturally provide, that becomes your secret sauce. That becomes your powerful niche, right? Like, why is Gary Cap so successful? He did something that no one else thought about it, right? So there are certain things, Johan and Walt, what they do is very different, not just white labeling a software. So they value added so much more, but still integrated it within the platform to make it much more powerful. So always think about how you can position yourself. If there are 10 people in the room having access to high level, why should they choose me? That's going to be your $1 million question. Why choose you? Okay, so 10 different people using high level in the same room. And if one lead is going to talk to 10 different person, why should they choose you over your competitors? So every client we work with, that's one question we make sure we ask so we can position them correctly and we can position their point of difference in the market and we can help them grow. So your USP is what is going to differentiate you from the software. Don't just aim to sell the software. Okay, your strategy, your knowledge, your transferable skills, that is powerful. I've been using high level for only 1 year, but this is what, I mean, this is the marketing world, right? People say, oh, I made $100,000 in a 60-minute webinar. No, you didn't, right? You've spent 5 years or 6 years building that audience. And then when you threw an offer, people bought it. But in the marketing world, you bullshit a lot, right? So people say, I made $100,000 in 60 minutes. That's wrong. So when you show up from an authentic self and how you want to position yourself, that's the kind of audience you will attract to. All right. Okay, so this is a big one. Collaboration over competition, the power of one to many. So this has helped me scale very, very quickly because I'm lazy and I don't like doing one-on-one. So most of my lead generation efforts are one to many. Like I said, my impact and influence bucket kind of channels into my income bucket. So these are some of the organizations that I work with. So I work as a mentor with Queensland government in a program called Mentoring for Growth. So it's a volunteering program, okay? So it's free. There are businesses that come and ask for help, and they are allotted to specific mentors that specialize in it. Obviously, people who come to me have marketing issues. They've got struggle getting leads. They got struggle getting sales, anything to do with CRM technology. So that they bring me leads. They advertise me, all right? So the next one is the Digital Solutions Program, which is an Australian government-funded program where it's a paid one. I get paid, but they do the marketing for me, and they bring 50 to 70 leads every month for the workshops that I run, for the webinars that I run, all right? And then I work with TAFE Queensland and train the educators in different AI tools in marketing. And my first line is always like Chase, right? Chase uses this word, I'm a failed agency owner. And I go on stage and I say, I'm not an AI expert, right? But I'm here to talk about the different AI tools in marketing that I provide access to my team who are not native English speakers, right? So I've got a clear niche where I kind of specialize. I don't go, because these days, if you say an AI expert, people will start rolling their eyes. Now everybody's an AI expert, right? So be careful how you position yourself in terms of authenticity. And like I said, there are lots of different migrant multicultural organizations that I'm part of, and I do a lot of work with them, again, from the impact and influence bucket comes channels into the income bucket. So these are few of the places where I do regular talks. I work with them very, very closely, and they do the marketing for me and get leads. So I want you to spend 10 seconds discussing about or thinking about what could be your one-to-many person who can get you leads. Like Johan spoke to Timur, he can access 4,500 or 45,000 people in his community group. So similarly, there could be one person in the room who's got a community where you can go and value add, right? So think about that one person who would be your dream referral, who can get you access to their community, who can market you, who can get you more leads. So always that is going to be the mindset shifts, all right? So 3 mindset shifts, what are they? We're going to sell first, we're going to create next. All right. And then we're always going to think about the one-to-many concept. And I think I forgot the second one. What did I talk about? The second one. Thank you. I'm glad you're listening. Okay. Strategy is always more than the software. Don't try to sell the software. You are unique and you are the strength. So always believe in that and use your skill set. All right. So that's that. So 5 mistakes. This is an interesting one. I had 10, but I had to cut it short. I know I will not have the time. So 5 mistakes that I know a lot of people make and I have made as well, right? So the first one, delegation is not optional. When I started selling high level, I did not know how to do the thing, right? I got certified only in December, but it didn't stop me from selling. And a lot of people in this room, visionaries, who struggle with implementation, still try to fiddle with all the automations and stuff. But I felt like I was selling a half-baked cookie for the first time in my life because I didn't know how to do the thing, right? I knew how it can do stuff. I was selling people on the dream. I was selling people on the vision, but I'll always be transparent with my clients and tell them, I'm going to check with the team because I'm just the talker, they're the doers, right? You can make it sound funny, you can make it sound, but you're still being authentic. I'll tell them, I'm not going to be the one doing, I'm only the talker, but this is the problem you have. This is the vision. This is the roadmap to get you from point A to point B, but I'm going to check with my team whether this is technically feasible for us to implement, right? Be honest. Tell them, I'm going to check, I'm going to come back to you. Don't try to be it all. Don't try to do it all. If there's one takeaway message from me, this is what helped me fast track. This is what helped most of the people in the room fast track, is because they were not trying to fiddle and do things by yourself. Your time is worth much more than just doing the admin tasks. Your time is worth much more than fiddling with all the automations and stuff. So delegation is not optional, and I hope all of you will agree with me. And the second thing, when people try to sell, they don't have a demo to show, okay? You cannot sell something that people can't see or trust. Like my sub account is basically a guinea pig, right? There are thousands of automations that are messed up, but that's where I try. Anything they ask, I've got a demo to show them. Or like Billie Jean said, share your screen and show them, right? Every problem that they had, I had a demo for them to show. If it's about courses, I had a course, how it'll look like, what we can do. Communities, I had something to show them. Funnels, I had something to show them. Everything in terms of implementation, I had a demo, a simple demo like the Chamber of Commerce, BNI, whatever networking group. Anything that you do, show them the demo, which will help them to think you're a professional. After my mentoring for growth session, I'll tell them, you'll get an email with all the resources that you need to succeed, because pretty much everyone who comes to me, I know what resources they need. So I add their name after my mentoring session, add a tag called M4G. Immediately they get an email personalized with all the resources that they need, that they can learn by themselves. All my webinars and all the tutorials, all the ebooks, everything jam-packed in one email. What impression does that provide? I'm a professional and I'm giving them all the support and resources they need. There's also a call where they can book a call with me and come back into my sales cycle. Okay, so that's very, very important in terms of demo. Okay, this is interesting. So the GHL Australian Mastermind, great community, right? When I was in my initial days, I joined the call. And guess who was talking? My brother Alok, right? And it went above my head so much. I was like, shit, I don't understand a thing what this guy is talking about. All right. So there are times that a lot of things might make you intimidated, might break your confidence, do not put yourself in that room. Okay. Now I can go and I can talk like Alok is my best friend, but if you're comparing your day 1 with someone's day 100, you're going to shatter your confidence. All right. So do not compare your life with someone else. Their journey could be extremely different from yours. I used to be this person, right? You look at people on Instagram and you go, she's doing it because she doesn't have kids. Oh, I have to go make dosa tonight. So I'm thinking all this in my head, right? So you try to compare your life with someone else's, and it's going to either shatter your confidence or make you feel depressed. So it's always the case, do not compare. It's apples, oranges, whatever you want to call it. Okay, this is something that I want to say. How many of you would classify yourself as introverted entrepreneur? Yes, thank you. I'm still figuring out if I'm an extroverted entrepreneur or introverted. I don't know. Okay, so I always I want to say this: you don't have to be the loudest in the room to succeed. You don't have to do this thing, stupid things, what people do on social media, like throwing their clothes on the road, right? Don't do that. Do stuff that you feel aligned. Do stuff that matches with you, your values, right? Very recently, I met with somebody and she said, I'm not a big on LinkedIn, but I still have an active presence, but I'm not very active. She said, your profile has quiet dominance. And that word stuck with me and I wanted to use it. So by meaning quiet dominance, I'm not loud there. I'm not screaming there. I'm not really always active there. But when I post, it's a very, very powerful post that anchors my authority, that anchors my leadership, that anchors what I do. It just evidences stuff. So you don't have to be the loudest in the room to succeed. You just have to have the right amount of presence that will actually, for introverts, make you quite dominant in the social media world. Okay? So that's something that I really wanted to do. All right. So AI, I wanted to touch upon this, but we're not going to go into greater detail. So AI is here to stay. We like it, we don't like it, it's here to stay. Especially with Australia, I think we're doing well with the AI stats. Our level of skepticism is really, really high, right? When I go pitch AI to people, I'm like, oh my God, I love my staff. I don't want to fire Steve. I'm like, you don't have to fire Steve, but Steve can only take one humanly call as possible. What happens to the overflow calls? What happens to the call on weekends? And, if Steve might be sick, he might need a holiday. So what do you do? So understand the demographic and pitch accordingly. In Australia, you're going to be like, you can fire your staff. People will be like, oh, F off. So don't pitch based on, the demographic, but I want to reiterate the fact it'll not take your job, but someone else who uses AI will. So understand the power, use it to your advantage. You don't have to go to the whole suite to use it. Just pick and choose what works for you. All right. So like I said, roadmap to capture, nurture, and convert. This is the last piece of my slide, which actually works really, really well for me for the past 18 months, what I've done this. So remember this one? All of us know. So this is the framework that High Level has provided, but I'm a very, very visual person, right? So I didn't know it's called a fancy growth flywheel. Chase mentioned this yesterday. I'm going to use that word. So for me, I didn't want to see it as a funnel where people drip and drop off, though you've got a loop to retain and retarget. But I kind of see it like a circle moment, okay? Like something that loops back into it. So in terms of capture, you can have anything to capture, but that 7, 11, 4, I think that's what I did really, really well, okay? So I don't have a content calendar. I don't post regularly on social media. All my conversion happens on Instagram stories. That's it. I don't even use Facebook, right? So in terms of Instagram stories, that's where people follow. You know how many people actually watch you, right? You might post something on Instagram, you might get 2 likes, but post a story, you'll get 400 views, right? 400 people are watching, they're just not interacting. So that's one way for me to nurture, which is my short-term lead gen, which is my Instagram stories. One thing I did really, really well starting last year was an email newsletter. How many of you send out marketing content on a Monday morning, 9 o'clock? Monday morning, 9. No one will do. Idiots will do. I did that, right? So every Monday morning, 9 a.m., I'm on people's faces because what I provide in my newsletter is not about me. I've got sections where 2 paragraphs, I tell them everything about what I do, the good, bad, ugly, mostly the ugly bits. That's kind of my inner circle. I'm very authentic. Stuff that I don't share on social media, I share it. It's like my whisper circle. I whisper all the things there. So the email newsletter has different segments, right? The business grants that are open in Australia, the business awards that are open in Australia, the events that happen across Australia. So what is it? It's value for them. Why am I sending it Monday morning, 9 a.m.? Because they can plan their week to apply for the awards. They can plan their week to apply for the grant, okay? My email open rate is 67%. The minimum has been 58 because of a shitty tagline I wrote, which is I literally jumped out of my balcony. That was my subject line, okay? And that had 58% open rate because people thought I was suicidal. Okay. So that's one thing which helped me to convert. When the Queensland Business Grant was announced, and I sent it out to the team, sent it out to the email list, I said, if you are in Brisbane, if you're in Queensland, and you want to apply for that grant, contact me. I got 28 leads. Okay, we applied for phase 1, and phase 2, we've had 18 applications, each worth $7.5 grand free money from the government. Okay, so that's the power when you nurture them, when they actually open for value. All right, now I want you to give 10 seconds of your time to think about your nurturing tools. What can you do? It's a lot of work, trust me. Email newsletter, compiling all these information from different sources about grants, about awards, it's not easy. I still do it manually. I pull it, we have a format, I give it to my team, and my team puts it in a pretty way, but it's still a lot of work, okay? But what happens is they get nurtured. I've seen people in person, in real life events, where they've been on my email newsletter and they feel like they know me so well, where I've never seen them. I'm like, I'm sorry, who are you? And they'll tell me everything that I do with my life because I share them in my newsletter. So that'll become your inner circle nurture, where they will, convert and they'll come to you. So that's worked really, really well for me, but you can choose what you want. So I'm like omnipresent. So I've got YouTube, I've got podcast, I'm on pretty much every social media platform. I do it when I want. I don't have a specific content calendar, but I've used it to my advantage to capture. So you can decide whatever tools you want to capture, but nurture is what most people miss. You capture, you take them to the sales cycle, you close them, right? But what happens if they're not just ready? They're just not ready yet. So we need something to nurture them, because it's very, very hard to find new clients. We know client acquisition is an expensive assignment. So one thing that we've done really, really well is retarget, retain our existing clients so they upsell themselves. So the average value and lifetime value of a client increases magnificent amount because of the model that we've got. Everything is in-house. Everything is sticky. We offer them so much value. We have multiple touch points throughout. We've got team members that are assigned to those projects. That makes the stickiness really, really good. Okay? All right. So quickly recapping the audit analysis. Do you find gaps in your current business model? Have you identified? Okay, good. So you can fix one that'll help you to move the needle. That's what I want you to do in the next 30 days. Okay, whatever is the gap you analyzed, it could be in your product, if it could be in your offer. So you could just come up with a foot in the door offer. Literally, all of us have built this business out of thin air, right? Literally out of just talking, right? And then going and building. So you can do it. You just have to strategize it in a way your brain understands. And every entrepreneur in this room and beyond is neurodivergent some sort. I always call myself ADHD undiagnosed, and it's a choice that I haven't gone through diagnosis, right? I'm sure I'll be on a high spectrum. Anyway, so the product and pricing, and then you find out whether your online and offline presence represents who you are. And then do you have a clear lead journey when you capture them? How are you going to nurture them? How are you going to convert them? When you're trying to convert, do you have an actual sales process in place for you to convert? Okay. And then how do you retarget them? How do you retain them? All right. And please do not create anything before someone pays you, right? Once they tap their card, go back and build. So sell first, create next, and always you are powerful. Your strategy is powerful. You need that unique selling proposition. Do not depend on the tool, because literally hundreds of thousands of people have access to the tool. So what makes it unique is you. So you are unique. Your knowledge is unique. So please use that to your advantage. And always believe in the power of many. If you're lazy like me, you don't want to do the hard work and you want to do the smart work. All right. All right. So this one spoke to me. Robin's recent post, I don't know if he's here, he's not here. But for the first time in my life, I struggled to accept a yes, right? And then this quote was there on social media. Just because you don't feel successful, it doesn't mean you're not successful yet. So you can be hard on yourself and beat yourself and feel very, very demotivated with your current stage where you are, but learn to appreciate where you are because you're already ahead of hundreds of thousands of people. You're here today to learn, right? So this one really spoke to me. I want to finish this. And if there's one word that I can say to each one of you for the last 16 minutes, because I'm very, very attached to my language. I speak a language called Tamil. So I want to thank you in my language. Nandri.